Earl Reid, and I'm a real fan of the Titanic, everything the Titanic. About 12 years ago, late one night, I was combing through the internet. I know I'm a real insomniac, and I found this article of a man, a real life account of a man who had served on a freighter in 1912 when it happened, and he was recovering the bodies. Now, the Titanic sank in the wee hours of the morning, April 15th, 1912, and it hit an iceberg off the coast of Newfoundland in the Grand Banks, and there was over 2,200 people on board, and over 1,500 souls perished. It was the greatest marine disaster in history. Anyway, I got so consumed with the story that I wound up writing a play about it. I took another 2 years out of my life, and we did it, critical acclaim, but to theaters around Los Angeles, and then I put it on the shelf for 10 years. And I never really had the music to this play, which takes place in the Depression in 1937, and it looks back on that time period, 1912. And I never really had the music to it, but now I have a low D Irish, and I wrote this song, and it just goes together. So I thought, okay, I'm going to do the whole thing. Anyway, the piece, the play was called Buried at Sea, and the piece is called Noble Spirit, and I'll do it for you. Hopefully I magically take you back in time. It was April 15th, 1912, and I was working on a freighter in the Grand Banks, and we got a call that a liner had gone down. And we sailed into the banks, and we looked, and there was nothing on the horizon. But as we got closer, we could see all the bodies, hundreds of bodies, just frozen, floating there back and forth, rolling with the waves. How did all these people get there? I mean, there's no sign of the ship. It was just eerily quiet. So we lowered into lifeboats, and the crew did, and we started pulling in the bodies. And a week later, we were still pulling in bodies. And then we came across this little baby boy floating in the water, face up. I can still see his face. It was just like a little waxen figure. With this look, it's not like fear, but like a lost child. And he still had on his pajamas. Well, let me tell you, there was some big, burly, hard types in this crew, and there wasn't a single man had a dry eye. We took the little fellow, wrapped him in a blanket, put him on the ship, and we looked for his mother, but we couldn't find her. The ones that we could identify, we wrapped him in cloth, and we'd take him back to Halifax for a burial, but the others, and there were lots of them that we just couldn't identify, we'd wrap them in sackcloth, weight them down with rocks, and put them back into the sea. But the little boy, we just didn't have the heart to put him back in the water, so we promised, all of us did, that we'd give him a proper burial when we got back to Halifax. You know, it's a funny thing. Every year, April 15th, I go to visit this little grave, and it's not right. A little baby should be with his mother. And every night I go to bed, and I wake up in the middle of the night. I see his little face, and every night.